Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Day Chats. I am your host, Daisy Michelle, and today we are going to catch up because it has been quite a while since we've had a good little sit down and just, caught up about life, what we've been going through, what's been going on. It certainly has been a while. So let's get into it. So I have not recorded an episode since January 30th. That was the last day I posted an episode. And there has been so much that has been going on in my life that I literally could just not even focus on doing the podcast. And you know what? Like, as shitty as it may sound, that's the reality of life. And I'm here to tell you all about it because shit happens. Life happens. And you know what? That's this whole purpose of this podcast, is to talk about the shit that goes down. So let's get into it. So as you guys may know, or maybe not, I have a full-time job and my peak season just started. So my peak season started on February 1st. Technically, it started actually in January because I start, prepping for that stuff early on. So I had to, prepare for my peak season. And if you don't know, I am an English learner and assessment technician. So I'm in charge of all state and local tests that kids take. So right now they're taking one state assessment that runs from February 1st through May 31st. So I've been pretty busy with that. But honestly, like that, aside from work stuff, work has been really busy. And I haven't been able to do as much as I normally do off season. A lot has been going on in my personal life as well. As you guys know, I have always wanted to go to law school, or maybe you didn't know, but my goal, my dream has always been to become an attorney, have my own law firm, and, be a badass attorney. And like I just said, I'm an English learner and assessment technician. I work in education. I am not in any way, shape, or form working within the legal field or doing anything law related. And, it was fine for a while. Don't get me wrong. I am super blessed to have my job. I am very happy where I'm at. I really have a good work environment, I would say. But ultimately, it's just not cutting it out for me. While I do enjoy my job, like I said, I'm very grateful. It doesn't make me super happy because it's not what I'm passionate about. I'm not passionate about education in terms of working in education. It's just not for me. If we're talking about career-wise and what I'm passionate about, I'm passionate about my own personal projects that I'm working on, like this podcast, another great opportunity that I'm seizing out, which I will get into in a little bit. And, wanting to pursue my dream of becoming an attorney. And working in education just isn't doing anything for me at this time to help me fulfill that. I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot as a person, as a career woman. I have grown a lot in this position and I'm really happy for that. But ultimately, I finally felt like it's my time to go. My time to go and move on to something else. I don't remember if I talked about it, but my boss, actually, my former boss, quit. So he started a month before I did back in 2019, and he resigned. His last day was in February. He resigned because he no longer felt like he was making an impact, right? So he was passionate about education. He wants to make an impact in kids' lives, and he no longer felt that in his position he was able to do that. So he moved on to something else. And now he, is working somewhere where he feels that he is making an impact and he feels like he's pursuing the passion that drove him to pursue education. And that kind of just inspired me to really think about what am I doing in education? What am I doing in my career? Is it taking me to the next place where I want to be? Is it helping me move on to my next goal in life? And I had a conversation with him and he told me, he said, don't be afraid to quit and move on to something else. Don't let it hold you back just because you're making a good amount here. And he was like, you're at a good point in your career right now where you can leverage it and you can move on to something bigger and better, or you can take a step back and, go travel. Because he knows that traveling for me is my priority at this time. And so we had that conversation, and it kind of just inspired me to just reflect on what I'm doing. And like I said, at first I thought, okay, I could be at this job for a couple more years. I do want to go back to school, but I really want to go to Europe. I want to go to Europe, and I don't want to go back to school until I go to Europe. And it was just a dream of mine that I've always had. And so I finally decided to book my trip to Europe. I found some cheap tickets to Denmark. And then I said, you know what? Let's go to Europe. I'll go for 2 weeks. And perfect. So then I booked my trip. I don't know if it was that or just having everything come together all at once and everything just clicked. But a couple days after I booked my trip, it was probably like a Monday or a Tuesday. I was at a school site testing a student, and the kids were being kids. They were being a little loud. They were being a little fussy, nothing crazy. These are good kids, they're good kids. They're just being themselves. They're just acting their age. They're in 3rd grade. So, I was being patient. I was trying to get their attention. I was trying to get them to follow instructions. And it was at that point that it kind of just hit me. I was sitting with my 2 students, and they were at that point, they were already taking their tests. So they were quiet, they were doing their thing. And I was just sitting there kind of waiting for them until they moved on to the next step. And I remember asking myself, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, what in the actual fuck am I doing here? Like, it kind of just clicked. It hit me that I am not happy working in education. There are people who love working with children, love interacting with them. Don't get me wrong, I respect children. I believe children deserve educators that love being around them, that have the patience to be with them. And I don't think that I am cut out for that. Granted, I don't work with children a lot. In fact, I don't really interact with them anymore. I did a little bit more at the beginning, but right now I'm not really interacting with them as much. But even then, like anytime that I do work with kids, I come home and I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted because to me, working with children takes up a lot of my energy, mental and physical energy. And I come home more tired than if I were working in customer service. I feel just more drained. And it's not a fun feeling. And I almost feel guilty. Like I feel bad. Like I shouldn't be feeling this way. It's not fair to the kids. It's not fair to the people who genuinely enjoy working in education, in my opinion. I love certain parts of my job. I love the advocacy for it. I've always loved advocating for children. Like I said, I believe children deserve educators who love being around them. Children deserve a quality education regardless of their background. And that is what I'm wanting to fight for. That is what I'm wanting to advocate for. I want to advocate for these kids to have these opportunities regardless of their background, regardless of what programs they're a part of, and things like that. I just don't want to be the one that's actually out with the children. I want to be helping advocating for them, but I don't necessarily want to be the one to be working with the children. And a part of my job does require me to work with children certain times out of the year during my peak season because I need to go supervise. And my team needs me, at the beginning of the year, I have to work with them and make sure that they know what they're doing. I'm very blessed that this year, and last year too, but this year, my team is just absolutely phenomenal. They're amazing. They know exactly what they're doing. They don't need my assistance as much, which really has allowed me to be able to focus on other parts of my job. But, it's just, I just had that realization that I just didn't want to work in education anymore. I don't want to work there anymore. And I've been there, like I said, for almost 3 years now. And I feel like it's just a natural time to move on to something else bigger and better. And so what better time to go back to school than now? I just said, you know what? Whether or not I go to Europe, I am closer to 30 than I am to when I was 18. I'm going to be 25 in 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, I'll be the big 25. And in retrospect, I'm still really young. Like in the grand scheme of life, I am still super, super young. I'm only a quarter of a way if I were to make it close to 100, you know? But at the same time, I don't want to start a family until I have my career started. I don't want to think about forming a family until I have everything that I've ever desired, which is building a business and building something bigger than myself, you know? That to me is my priority. And I would like to have a family one day. And I just feel like if I keep making up excuses as to why I can't go back to school, I'm just pushing and pushing and pushing everything that I've ever dreamed of even further. I had a lot of fun last year. I traveled, thankfully, everything was really safe with the restrictions and everything. I did things as safe as possible and I was able to travel a lot and I had so much fun. And this year, unfortunately, like I just said, I did book my trip to Europe, but because of the war, this was before the war, by the way, but now because of the war, it's just safer for me to cancel my trip to Europe. So I did end up canceling it, which, is a bummer. But at the same time, like I said, there is a war. So there are bigger things in this world at this time that just are, more important. So for my safety, I just decided to cancel that trip to Europe. And, one day I'll go. I'll go one day. I don't doubt it. But at this time, it's just not my time for that. And that's okay. I truly believe that everything is happening for a reason. Everything's going to happen for a reason. I've always been a really big believer in that. And so, I decided to talk to my boss and tell her what my plans are of going back to school. And she was really supportive. So now that I have that figured out, I know I'm going to go back to school next year. I know that for now, I'm not going to go to Europe. It's really my last year having a full-time job. I don't know if I'm going to go back to school full-time or part-time. I'll worry about that once I tackle the first step, which is taking the LSAT, which I have taken before, but your score expires after 5 years, I believe. And it has been almost 5 years, if not already, since the last time I took the LSAT. And it's been such a long time that I know I could do better and improve my score. So I'm retaking the LSAT again. I'm taking a prep course to prepare for the LSAT, and that's starting in June. And then I'll take the LSAT in October, apply for law school before December 2022. And then by this time next year, 2023, I will be finding out which law schools I'm getting accepted to and ultimately committing to one law school. And then depending on where it is, finding an apartment by the summer and moving out. So it's just literally so crazy how quickly everything happened. I'm in disbelief in a way. And on top of that, there's also something else that I have been embarking on that has, kind of prevented me from coming back to the podcast. And I'm really excited to tell you guys because I feel like this is a good step forward. And I hope you guys use this maybe as inspiration to follow and trust that things happen at the time that they're supposed to happen. So when I was in high school, I was in cosmetology school simultaneously. So I would have my normal high school classes first through fourth period, and then I would leave during lunch and go to cosmetology school in the afternoon, and I'd be off around 4 or 5 p.m. And then I would go home, do homework, do that whole shebang, and then do it all over again the next day. And then Saturdays, I would also go to cosmetology school all day. So that program was with my high school. So essentially my high school would pay for me to go. My senior year of high school, I decided that I did want to go to college and I wanted to give myself that opportunity to apply and go. I always thought, hey, maybe I'll just go to community college. I didn't really think about college to begin with. Although it was something that my mom would tell me, it's not something that I wanted really to pursue. I wanted to be a hairstylist. I wanted to go to cosmetology school. Not so much even to be a hairstylist, but in my mind, you had to be a hairstylist as well in order to be a makeup artist. Makeup has always been something that I've been so passionate about. I have always loved makeup. I used to do my makeup when I used to live with my cousins. My cousin Myra, she would have her makeup in the bathroom. And I remember she would always have her makeup like in a bag in a sink and just, have it there. And when I would go and take a shower, I would always play with her makeup. I would put it on, put some eyeshadow on, put some eyeliner on, blush, foundation. And, she would always get so mad at me for ruining her makeup. And, I'm so sorry, Myra, but literally this is the foundation of who I am today. But I've always had this passion for makeup. It's always been there. And I would always do my makeup behind my parents' back because I wasn't allowed to wear it until I was much older. But it's always been there. And like I said, I've always wanted to be a makeup artist. And I used to do a little bit of freelancing when I was in cosmetology school. And to see that people trusted me back then with the skills that I had to do their makeup on their special days is so, so crazy to me because I wasn't the best, I wasn't terrible, but I wasn't the best. But it's just amazing to me that people trusted me even then and believed in me to pursue this opportunity and pursue this new venture, I'd say. And so when I decided this year, literally a month ago or so, that I wasn't going to continue working anymore that much longer, that I decided to go back to school. This was either at the end of February, early March when this all happened. I decided to take advantage of the fact that I am making a good income and pursue anything I've ever wanted to that requires a lot of money. And I had some money saved up because I am going to Miami in 2 weeks to celebrate my birthday. So I saved up a lot of money, not a lot, but I saved up a good chunk of money that I know I wasn't going to spend it all. But in my mind, I was like, okay, I'll just save up a big chunk of money and then I'll use half of it for Miami and then the other half I'll use for Europe. So I had this chunk saved. And when I ultimately decided that I was going to go back to school, I knew that I couldn't work full time. In my mind, I'm going back to school full time. At this point right now, I really wouldn't want to work a traditional full-time job and go to school full-time or even part-time. If I'm going to go back to school, like I said, at this time, I would love to go back to school full-time and commit to it and go in all in, And so I figured it would be really great if I could work on the weekends and do some freelance makeup work, It's always been, like I said, a passion of mine. I've always wanted to be a makeup artist. And I figured if there's a time to do it, it's literally right now that I can afford to do it. I'm in a very privileged position and I want to take advantage of that because I know I'm not going to have it always, When I go back to school, I will not have the income that I have right now, and I won't be able to build up my kit at that time as quickly as I did this time. So I decided to take some of the money that I saved and invest it into building my professional makeup artist kit and build a business. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I decided to start freelancing again. I looked into taking a makeup certification course and there was a little bit of weirdness to that. Basically the company that I reached out ended up ghosting me. Got to the point where I was going to send the deposit and I asked them, I was like, okay, this is perfect. They told me I could send the deposit. And so I asked them, I was like, okay, perfect. What's your Zelle information? Where would you like me to send the deposit? I can send it to you within the hour. Because I just had to go to the bank before submitting the deposit. And they literally never messaged me back, ever. They saw my message and they just never messaged me back. And so then I think a couple days after that, they posted something about, announcing their 10-week certification course. And I commented on it saying, oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm ready. And they deleted my comment. And I was like, ooh, shady. Okay, never mind. So everything happens for a reason. I'm not going to go through that route anymore for that certification course. Like I said, I did go to cosmetology school. I have the training for sanitation and disinfection. I know how to sanitize products. I'm a self-taught makeup artist. I learned all the techniques on my own. So I do have the education portion behind me. I don't need a certification, but I was just going to get it just to have it. But, after that situation with that company, I don't think I'm going to go for it after all. We'll see. But as of right now, it's not something that I'm going to go, but I am building up my business. I have my business cards. I already have my first my first bridesmaid makeup job that I have in next week, I think. And so I bought everything for the touch-up kits. I have my professional makeup kit that's 100% complete already. Like I said, everything happens for a reason. Everything that I bought has been like I get 50% off, 40% off. I've gotten some things for free. My TikTok recently has been kind of taking off a little bit, which is really crazy to say, but I've had some brands reach out to me to offer to send me products. And it's like such a wild time in my life right now. I haven't officially opened my books to take clients, but people are finding me and messaging me, and other people that I've gone to cosmetology. When I went to beauty school, like girls that I went to school with are like, hey, are you still doing makeup professionally? Like I have these girls that need to get their makeup done. Like I only do hair. Can I send them to you? And I'm like, oh my God, like this is just the sign that I needed, that I'm doing the right thing. It's my time to shine. This is my time to really build my business and pursue a passion of mine. And this podcast has also, a lot of people have been asking me about it and giving me a lot of good feedback and a lot of good topics to discuss. And now that I'm going to have a little bit more free time because my peak season is going to be ending soon, I'm really excited to get on a schedule and start recording more, making TikToks for this podcast, and just talking more about what's going on and taking you guys along this journey, because it literally has been a journey. I haven't found a therapist yet. I'm still on the hunt for one. I am on the hunt for a Latina, Mexican preferably, but Latina therapist to really just deep dive into my codependency issues and a lot of the other things that I have been struggling with and setting boundaries, which you guys, I have a whole like discussion that we need to go into with that, because I have been going through a lot mentally as well, emotionally, and it's just been a journey, to say the least. But in the midst of all that, it's just really exciting to have something to look forward to. It's really scary because I'm going to go from having a secure income and freedom to going back to being a student and having no money. But we're not going to put that into existence. We're going to put that I'm going to have a successful business and I'm going to be able to balance it. So it's going to go well. I'm very confident in myself and in my skills that I will make it as a makeup artist, as a freelance makeup artist, especially when I'm in school. That way I can have a little bit of an income while I'm in school. But yeah, I'm taking this year to build up my clientele. I'm excited to pursue something that I'm passionate about. I know that school is going to be hard. I know that school isn't going to be what I'm imagining it in my head to be. But either way, I'm excited because this is getting me one step closer to my biggest dream, which is having my own law firm, being my own boss, having my own business, having my own legacy. And I feel like I'm getting so close to building that. Like I'm so close. Everything I'm wanting is just a couple years away, and I'm starting to make the strides to get there. And it is so exciting. It's really scary, but at the same time, like there's no stopping me. There's no stopping me. I was going through some pictures I had on my phone, and there was a screenshot of what one of my friends, Sierra, sent me. This was back in 2017 when I was going through one of my biggest breakups, I guess you could say. And I remember I was so heartbroken, and she had told me, followed up with me because I had a job interview like a couple weeks after. And so she told me, like, you're literally Daisy. You will accomplish anything that you want. You literally accomplish anything that you set your mind to. And I've always kept that screenshot because it's always reminded me that is so true. I am a go-getter. Despite things being difficult, despite falling down, despite, having challenges, like I will accomplish things that I am set out to do. whether it's today, tomorrow, or a couple years from now. Everything happens for a reason, even if it didn't work out the first time. Because you guys, I've told you guys before, I didn't get accepted into law school the first time I applied. I got rejected from the only school I applied to. The second year, second cycle that I applied, I got into law school and then COVID happened. And, now this is my third time applying to law school. And, third time's the charm. And it's like almost kind of emotional to even think about it because like I just said, it's my third time of going through this. It's not my first time. And like a part of me feels like behind in a way, but at the same time not, if that makes sense. Because like I just said, and I keep telling myself this more than anything, I keep telling myself that everything happens for a reason, but this is my time to shine one way or another. And I'm excited to see where this journey takes me. I'm excited to take you guys along with me, and I'm excited to share the difficulties that I have been going through and sharing a lot of the things that have been on my mind and a lot of the things that I have been experiencing lately. I've been going through a lot of changes in my body recently. I've, been going really well with my health journey. And I've seen a significant change in my body, a positive change, which, leads to a positive change in my outlook and my confidence. And that's really, really exciting. So, there's just so much in store for me that I'm really excited and scared, but it's going to be okay. I know I didn't really touch a lot on some of the difficult things that I've been through, but that's just because I want to kind of dedicate its own episode to that, not to just vent or anything or talk about it, but really just deep dive into it. Because like I said, I don't have a therapist right now. So it's a little bit harder to conceptualize it and put it into words when I don't have a therapist that's there kind of helping me guide through that. Because like I've shared before, I have a difficult time expressing my emotions and expressing what I'm feeling into words. But I know I'm not the only one. I know you guys listen because you guys often feel like you're in the same boat. And that gives me some kind of comfort in knowing that even if I'm having a hard time, I'm not the only one that struggles with those things. But like I said, this is going to be an exciting time. So definitely stay tuned. If you haven't already, please give this a 5-star rating on Apple Podcast, and subscribe on Spotify. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And if you have any recommendations, please let me know. Follow at Day Chats on Instagram. And you can always write in your recommendations, because I'm always looking forward to it, whether it's a mental health topic related or if you want some spicy tea and talk about dating life, because trust me, I have some stories because I have put myself back into the dating world, just a little bit, but I'm definitely going to push myself out there and start dating more. So you already know the dating stories are here to come. But until then, make sure that you're subscribed and have any notification bell on and reminder. That way you are always on top of it at 6 p.m. on Sundays when episodes are released. Until then, embrace the day. Bye, guys.